Today's lesson is on probability sample space. The objective for today, students will be able to find the total number of outcomes in an event. Well, let's classify, or let's define, what is sample space. Sample space is the total number of outcomes or possibilities in a particular event. Let's look at our first example. Let's say we're going to flip 2 coins. So if I'm going to flip 2 coins, I want to list out a sample tree. And in that sample tree, my first possibility, I'm going to have a heads and a tails on that first coin. When I flip the second coin, I also have 2 options, which is going to be heads and tails. So when I do that, I make this tree. This tree diagram then, all I'm going to do is I'm going to count my last row, or my last column, which is going to be this section here. And when I count that out, that's going to give me my total number of outcomes. So 4 in this problem. Another way I can go about it is to count the number of possibilities that I have with my first coin, which is 2, and then count the number of possibilities with my second coin, which is also 2 because it's heads and tails. And I multiply those together, and 2 times 2 is going to give me 4. So that would bring me to 4 outcomes. There's 2 different ways to find the number of outcomes. Let's look at another example. Spinning a spinner and flipping a coin. So my spinner, I'm going to say that I have a red, a green, and a yellow. So if I'm going to make my tree diagram, I'm going to have my line, and then I'm spinning the spinner first, and then I'm going to flip the coin. So if I'm flipping the coin, what are my 2 options for the coin? Hopefully you said heads and tails. So off of the red, I'm going to write heads and tails. Then on the green, I'm also going to write heads and tails. And after the yellow, that will follow with heads and tails. Remember, this is the row this is the column that I want to pay attention to count to give me my total number of outcomes. So if I count here, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that will give me 6 outcomes. Now, if you can think back to the previous example, how did I find my outcome without making that tree diagram? Well, I'm going to draw 2 blanks because I have 2 objects that I'm working with right now. So the first one is my spinner, and I have how many options with my spinner? 3 is the correct answer. When I flip the coin, I have how many options? 2 is the correct answer. Now what operation should I use with those 2? Hopefully you said multiplication, and if I multiply those together, I'm going to get 6 outcomes. Let's look at one last example. This is going to be a little bit more of a challenging question. We're not going to be able to make a tree diagram for it, so you're going to have to think about this a little bit. So you have a 4-question quiz that contains 2 multiple choice questions and 2 true-false questions. What is the total outcomes possible? So how do you think I should go about solving this? If you think back, we did a mathematical way in the previous 2 examples. So I would suggest drawing out your 4 blanks because I have 4 questions. So I'm going to label my bottom as question numbers, and my top is going to be my possibilities. So in the first blank, well, I have 4 possibilities, and in the second blank, I also have 4 possibilities. So I have my question number is 1, and then in my question number 2, I have 4 possibilities. In question number 3, because the 4 possibilities is our multiple choice. Now with the true-false questions, because I have 2 true-false questions, which is question number 3, that's going to be 2 possibilities, and then when I have question number 4, again a true-false question, so I have 2 possibilities. Now I have all these numbers written down. What am I going to do in the blank for those? Or what should I do with all of those numbers? Hopefully you said to multiply them. And when I multiply these all together, 4 times 4 is 16. And then if I multiply the 2 times 2, that's 4. So 4 times 16, that's going to give me 64. So a total possibility of 64 outcomes. If you have any questions on any of this, please feel free to go back and watch the video on any examples that you need help with.